Hi everyone, welcome. It's Tuesday night and we're going to sew tonight. So we're going to have a great time. We're going to show you how to put in a sleeve. Super easy though. This is not the normal bishop method kind of way with all that basting and easing and oh yeah, all them pins. No. There's a much easier way. Now we're going to put on a sleeve. And we're going to put on a sleeve the way my mother said to do it on a sleeve, because in the factories, they don't use pins. You could have one pin. That's all she'd let me have to put in a sleeve. And it would work every time. And it was great. So, it's just learning to handle the material. Now, before you put in your sleeve, you need to make sure of your fit. And let's talk about a few fit items here. So you need to make sure that the bodice fits, that the shoulders are in the right place, because a lot of times the shoulders are not in the right place. So what you do is you put it together and you try it on. You want to make sure the arms' eyes are in the right spot. Now, if it's sleeveless, you know, when you're making a sleeveless sling, the arms' eyes are a little lower. They're a little higher. See how it virtually is fitting under the chicken wing right there? So you want it a little higher on a shirt or a blouse. And the other thing is you need to make sure the shoulders drop off at the right spot. You don't want them up here and you don't want them down here, because that looks like, unless you want it to be a drop off shoulder, that's different. Now this method also works best, or actually it doesn't work if you're going to do a gathered sleeve. If you do a gathered sleeve, you're going to have to do all that pre-stitching and pulling it up and easing it and all them stupid pins. So hey, puffy sleeves were in the 60s. We don't have to do that anymore. So the other thing I do is I usually will go ahead and take a serger and I will serge the edges. Okay. I have a little tip, because this fabric is really annoying. And it's the kind of fabric, where's my scrap? I'll show you why this is awful fabric. If you're looking at fabric in the store and you see this going on, all this nasty rolling around, that's going to drive you completely bat nuts. So what, usually I will leave it alone. However, this is dance wear and I had to have this fabric for dancing whenever we go back to dancing. So what you do, spray starch, oh, I know it's backwards right now. Spray starch it. Here, that way you can't tell it's backwards. You spray starch the edges very lightly on the wrong side, take it to the ironing board and just press the edges dry, and they're going to stay flat, at least to get through the stitching process. The other problem when you've got fabric that rolls this badly like this is it's most likely going to be a single knit, if it's a knit, and it's most likely going to run. And there's nothing more irritating, and I bought some of these blouses before, where the fabric is so thin and so stretchy that it's good. This one isn't doing it, because this one I got from Vogue Fabrics at the expo. But what you want to do is you want to leave it alone, because it's going to run. And I have bought garments before, like at Marshall's or Ross or whatever, thinking I'd get a cute little cheap blouse just to wear. And the first time I washed it, the whole back had runs in it, just like a stocking. So like, be careful with single knits. You want a good quality knit to start with. So let's talk about setting in a sleeve. Like I said, make sure your fit is good. Try it on. And make sure your neckline is good. Make sure the neck is where you want it. But more importantly, this shoulder line needs to be where it belongs, so that when you sew. I also sew blouses with a 1/2 inch seam, not 5/8. See, the sleeves are too hard to put in if you have 5/8. I know it doesn't sound like much. 1/8 of an inch can really make a difference in allowing your sleeve, at least the sleeve part, to ease in correctly. So here's my sleeve. Now this is a t-shirt sleeve, so it really doesn't matter. This one doesn't have a front and a back. You can mark it. Now most of the time you're going to have notches. So I tend to cut my notches off because they get in my way. But you can always put them back in with a marker. Go this way. There we go. You can see that better. Okay, so we mark them in with a marker. You want to mark your center front. So, or I mean, excuse me, the top, with the shoulder line, wherever on your pattern, and on this pattern, it is in the exact center. So I'm just going to mark it. And I'm going to mark this one on the right side. Come on, chalk. There we go. I don't know if you can see that. See the mark right there? That's my center shoulder line. Okay. And let me do the same thing on the other. Well, I'll just do one sleeve now. Okay. And now what you're going to do is your shoulder seams to be sewn together. Okay, I'm going to sew this, and here's what we're going to sew. Here's my shoulder seam, and here is my one pin. So I match the shoulder seam to the center of the sleeve. Of course, you can press that down. I didn't, but and I'm just going to, that's the only pin I'm going to need to use. So now let's go over to the sewing machine. Here, and I've already threaded my machine. And I have already tested it. So anytime you go to sew, again, always test your seams, test your tensions, test your stitch length. I have set my stitch because this, now you do not have to sew a knit with, good grief, with a stretch stitch. For one thing, I don't like to use stretch stitch because if your fit is wrong, you're never going to get that out. They defy undoing. So you do not have to have a stretch stitch. Knits do not need to be sewn on a serger. Although usually I set everything and then I go back. Let me find, it's got all twisted here. Okay, here's the arm's eye. Here is the other end of the sleeve. Right here, okay? Try to do this around the camera, it's going to be fun. I just now these two edges, put those two edges together. Oh, I need that light, I can't. Can you see that well? No, I'm going to put the light on again. That might be too much. Okay, so here's my 1/2 inch mark. And I'm just going to keep those together. And I'll back tack. And I'm not going to stretch, I'm not going to pull until I have my, and I am sewing with the sleeve on the bottom. I want the feed dogs to do my work as far as easing it in. So I'm going to just line these up to where the notch would be. And where did my, this, okay. My notch is gone, but the notch is usually right there. Okay, so I would sew without really worrying about anything until I got to that notch, or where that notch is. Front, back, doesn't matter, either one. Okay, then I am going to straighten the rest of this out so you can see it a little easier. I have my one pin at the shoulder, and I'm just going to put these together, keeping that at 1/2 inch. Sometimes it's easier to pull it from underneath. And we are curling, stop doing that. But see, this is a little bigger than this, and that's fine. I just want to sort of divide that in half, match them up, and I'm going slow. Usually I get this pretty, and now these, except for the rolling, if I unroll it, I'll just take this and unroll that like it's supposed to be. Get over there. Okay, there. See, and that I marked my center point, and I am just keeping, I am not stretching, I am not pulling. Now, if you see that you have too much, you can, on the bottom, you can give the top, the garment side, a little bit of a of some tension. If you see it's not, give it a little more tension. This is very, and it's got a really heavy nap to it too. So this is probably not the best fabric to have chosen, but I like this fabric and I wanted this blouse. And I haven't gone to a store to find anything else. Okay, and see now I'm at the shoulder. I stop. Needle, keep the needle in the down position. Okay, now I'm going to match up the other side. So here, goodness me, I'm all twisted here. There we go. Okay, here's the other half, wanting to roll like that. Where'd the sleeve part go? I lost the sleeve. Oh, here it is. Sleeve disappeared on me. Okay, and it's rolled underneath. Folded. Okay. And then you would find where the bottom knot, here we go, I'll put them together. Next time I'll pick a woven because woven is easier to do. Okay, here's where my notch would be. So this is my next point to aim for. I'm going to put a clip here now because this is just so slippery. Yeah. And I keep losing the end of it. Okay. Alrighty, back to this. Okay, here's my garment and here is the sleeve, and I am simply going to put one on top of the other and do a few stitches. And it'll get faster the more accustomed you get to doing this. Keeping a 1/2 inch. Sort of, now I've got, here I can divide the bulk in half. Just put my raw edges together. Raw edges together. Okay, here we go. Now there's where my notches are. And the notches, I want to make sure from notch to the end here, I don't want to put any strain on it. I just want those edges to match up. Okay, let's see what it looks like. Let me back off some. Okay, here's my sleeve. Okay, let's take a look at it. Okay, I have no puckering, no pleating, no, oh, the whole thing looks beautiful. And there's my, rest of it's all yucky. Straighten that out. And look at that. Turned out to be an absolutely wonderful sleeve. And then you would sew the other side. So the trick of this is shoulder seams are sewn, the side seams are not. Leave those open because then you'll go back at the end after you've tried it on. Now, I try it on before I do any clipping because yes, this isn't laying just right because I have not clipped the seam. I have not clipped the underarm. So I would clip the curve of the underarm. But I'm not going to right now until I try the whole thing on. Then I clip it when I'm done and then give it a good press. And you can, and it helps to press it over a dress ham. Nice and easy. Like I said, super fast. You want me to sew this, the other one too? And then sew up the seams and you can get a look at it. The pattern that I'm is from Judy Kessinger's Fit Nice. It's the fit. She's the fit doctor. So it's a Judy Kess. I think it's fitnicedoctor.com is the pattern. I'm a certified Judy Kessinger teacher, but we haven't had time. I can't do these classes online. Judy, if you go to her site, she's somehow doing classes online. but it's mostly just little presentations. So yeah, you're right, Zeta. Super easy to do these sleeves. You can do sleeve, and I don't like sleeveless because I have really like ugly chicken arms. So do you want me to do the other one, or are we good? Anybody's gonna say what? Eileen said sure. What are you saying? Sure to. Okay, we'll sew the other one. Let me get the other sleeve. Is this my? The sleeve is right sides up on the machine. Here is my center mark, and I just chalked it. Let's chuck it out the window. Yeah, sometimes I like to chuck things out the window because it just makes me mad. Okay, and I want to find where the arm's eye is on the garment. And here it is. Okay, here's my shoulder seam. And I am going to just pin it at the shoulder seam. This is such slippery material. Pin. I will pin that. And I'm probably going to clip the other end because this is just so slippery. I don't want to go hunting for it later on. So to be honest with you, when my mother was around, I would do the one pin. When she's not around, I would do 3 pins, or at least 2. Because where the notches are, I'll stick a clip there. This is easier to find it. Oops. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the beginning of the sleeve. Where is it? Too slippery. Quilts are much more cooperative. And they don't scream when you stick them with pins. When I used to do pageant gowns, especially if they had a real light colored gown or a white one, you know, we'd have a fitting. I'd go, don't you dare bleed on my dress, you know? Hey, 1/2 inch. I'm just going to set that. Okay. Sleeve is facing up, garment facing down. Okay, and I'm going to find where this imaginary dark notch is, which is about right there. You can usually tell as the arm sort of curves up, that notch is usually in the middle. I could have marked it, and if I were doing a woven, I would. Wovens are a lot less forgiving. And then as I reach that notch, okay, I'm saying the notch is right there, okay? Then I will grab the center, okay, and pull it straight so that everything's nice and straight. And I can see I have my garment here. Can you see? Let me move this over a little more. Okay, my garment is here, my sleeve is here. I'm going to divide that length in half and just match them up and match them up all along. And this also has a nap. It's a velvet and it's sticking to itself really bad. Would have done better with a slinky knit. Okay, come on, stop folding on me. Okay, just match them up. And get to the other side. I'll do the same thing over here. Straighten everything out. Okay. There's more than one way to make you behave. Match. Sometimes I'll pull that sleeve out from under because it will tend to ripple under you. I went off my 1/2 inch, so I just back up. There we go. Been doing too much quilting lately. I'm like always heading towards that 1/4 inch. Okay, and then here we go, match this. Okay, here's my pin. Come to the pin and stop. And come to the, then straighten out this side here. Okay. And do the same thing again. match these up. See, this is a little bigger than underneath, so what it does is it's going, the feed dogs are going to ease that in for you. There we go. It's doing it. It's doing it. Okay, and then here's where my second notch is. So we'll stop it where that notch is and straighten the rest out. Here. And there we go. Okay, I'm happy with that. So this is where I would take my front and back. Now for this I will use pins. Well, actually I'm going to try it on because I don't like all this seam. It's too much seam for me. So probably what I'm going to do is after I try it on, I'm going to take it to the serger and serge that seam again, so that everything is encased and it's good to go. At this point, or even before this point, if you wanted to put in, if it were a jacket, you could put shoulder pads in. I don't use shoulder pads. I use that French fuse instead because, you know, shoulder pads you can always see, but French fuse you would just cut it out in the shape, and you can put up to 3 layers, and then when you sew this seam together, it gives you that little bit of stiffness if it's for a jacket or a stiffer fabric. So, and then here is what it will look like. See, the sleeves are, both sleeves are done beautifully. And this one, because it's velvet, I'm not going to press it. I'm going to steam it and take my little, well, I do have a velvet board. I could press it on a velvet board, but you know, it's not, this isn't, it's like a velour rather than a velvet. And I'll wear this Thursday night when we have serger night. So, that's it. So let me switch this camera and let's see if anybody has any questions. What am I using to pull the fabric together? Christina says, nothing. I'm just using my hand. Oh, what I was using? This is a pick. It comes from a baby lock kit that had scissors and it's actually so that it can help dig out stuff from your under your foot. That's all it is. You could use, I've used a pin, a seam ripper. Another one of my favorite things is at the dollar store, get these dental kits, or snitch them from your dentist if they throw them away. Wash them really good. These are great because they really dig into something. So I use that a lot. I use that also to dig out sometimes when thread gets caught on this embroidery machine inside of here, I'll use that to dig it out. So, okay, so let's see. Oh, we're dressing for serger night. It's semi-formal. Hey, why not? You know, we have our own party. And you know, I like my bling. But it's a nice, comfortable little shirt, and it's easy to use. Oh, the purple thing works too. So anyway, you guys have a great evening. I'm going to finish this blouse. Have a great evening. I'll see you later. Bye. And don't forget to click like and subscribe. Bye.